Alright, World Comics Review back again with some new videos and a new website. This is at wcr.felniverse.co.uk. Over there's some articles about the videos and some extra blog posts which I made on a blog a long time ago. So go and check it out at wcr.felniverse.co.uk. So for the first video back we have something which is not a comic. This is Phoenix Force Book 19, Sea of Savages from 1986 by Gar Wilson, which is obviously a fake name. This was actually written by a team of many different writers over the years. And this was published by Gold Eagle, which is part of the Hallmark publishing brand. So back in the day they also used to do these kind of action and adventure books. They started off with one called Mac Bolan, aka the Executioner. And he was a bit like the Punisher. He started off fighting against the Mafia in this kind of one-man war. Later on he was recruited by Stony Man, a kind of top-secret unit which is part of the US military. And Stony Man also had Phoenix Force and Able Team, who did missions around the world fighting terrorists. And from 1982, Phoenix Force and Stony Man both had their own book series, as well as the normal Mac Bolan books, which were kind of this standard paperback size. There was one called Super Bolan. The Super Bolans had about twice the page count. Later on there were Stony Man books, which had Phoenix Force and Able Team working together, and eventually the Phoenix Force and Able Team series just became the Stony Man series. Anyway, that's the history lesson out of the way. So what are we dealing with here? So Phoenix Force has got 5 members. There's David McCarter, a Cockney who was on the balcony of the Iranian embassy, Calvin James, who was in the Navy SEALs and later the LAPD, and these two are introduced with a contractually obliged fist fight which has absolutely nothing to do with the plot. Then there's Rafael Enxio, a Cuban who was captured and tortured after the Bay of Pigs invasion but escaped, Gary Manning, a sniper and explosives expert from Canada, and Colonel Yakov Katzelenenbogen. Yeah, I couldn't read it either. A French-Israeli former Mossad agent who's the leader of the team. And Stony Man itself is run by Hal Brognola, who's got a direct line to the White House. So yeah, this was a long-running series, and in book 19, Phoenix Force are called in because a shipment of gold artifacts from Colombia was being guarded by 2 US Navy intelligence operatives who turned out to have massive gambling debts, and so were turned by a mysterious terrorist organisation and helped to steal the gold. You know, you think they would have done the background check before and not after. Phoenix Force rather easily tracked the stolen artifacts to Manila in the Philippines, where a communist group is trying to sell them to raise money. Phoenix Force enter the country quite easily with all their heavy weaponry, but this does attract the attention of a unit called Metrocom, which is like the Manila Police Force's SWAT team. Phoenix Force try to take one of the communists for interrogation and only end up getting into a massive shootout in a hotel. They capture a prisoner but have to release him, but later on they try and capture him again from the corrupt cops when this party's crashed by Ninja. Actually, the reader's already well aware that the main villains of this book are called Trio, which is a team up of the Chinese Triads, the Japanese Yakuza, and, shit if thou not, an organisation called the Golden Horde, who see themselves as the inheritors of Genghis Khan's army, because we all know how the Japanese, Chinese and Mongolians just love each other. Trio are actually just using the headquarters of the Communist Party while they stage an auction to sell off the gold and raise money. But Phoenix Force find out and crash the party with a number of lovingly described gory shootouts. Trio eventually escape onto a luxury yacht. Phoenix Force track them down after stealing boats from pirates. Well, you know, we've had special ops, corrupt cops, terrorists, and Yakuza and Triads, and even Genghis Khan's army, and ninja, so why not pirates too, eh? Chuck everything in. There's one more gory shootout on a boat. The only survivor from Trio after this book is the Japanese leader, who suffers the loss of his katana, so swears by the code of Bushido on his honour as a samurai and a ninja to have revenge on the gaijin. Yeah, I think whoever wrote this one might have been a bit of a weeb. So anyway, this book was my introduction to this world of cheesy action paperbacks made by a romance publisher, and frankly I love it. It's obviously written to a formula. Like I said, there's a fist fight at the beginning which seems extremely contractually obliged, and that adds absolutely nothing to the plot, but every time I see something like this now I eagerly snap it up.